Storm to do better. We're here to see the best Heroes of the Storm that we can possibly have. And right now, both teams are kind of playing a high score race. If we have more kills, then we should win the game. And so far, it's been true, but it's been a bit on the sloppy side. But regardless, we'll be getting ready for our game number 3 here pretty soon here. Do you think Tempest can finish out the series with a 3-0?
I think they likely will. And even if they don't really level up super hard in this third game, they just seem to be more consistently taking these fights. Both teams have been taking really defensive engagements. If I have to give props to SPT, or I want to, I feel like I have to give props to Kite. I think his positioning has been really good. He's been in places to punish Sign many, many times. Has also gotten some really nice pairings with Xinjiao, like in the Horrify situations that we had in game number 1. And if his team can kind of rally behind him a little bit more, I think that is going to be really good. Sometimes it looks like he's playing super greedy or super risky. Like, for example, when he did the Hearth kind of in the brush in the top lane, it felt like, okay, this is actually probably a really cool fake. He's trying to look for this pick. I see strokes of genius in his play, and I think if SPT comes back in this series, it's probably because of him and Xinjiao. And why he feels like the weak link here to me. His positioning, his Falstead fly-ins, I should say, have just been honestly a little bit all over the place. I don't want to be too critical here, but he's looked to be the weak link.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's just a matter of nerves, because he wasn't as chaotic yesterday, but SPT does seem to have this moment where one player kind of rises for the day and kind of helps out, and Kite definitely in this series is doing well. Now, let's see which battleground we're going to for game number 3. Remember, this is a best-of-5 series. The pick will be Towers of Doom for our teams. Another battleground that we see that global play that can shine, but one that I feel like Tempest actually does pretty darn well on.
Yeah, absolutely so. It's been a Korean favorite, and we've seen Koreans kind of go to it, especially when being ahead in a series. You know, you look at the faces here of both teams, I think you can feel that tension, feel the nerves you were just talking about. You and I were talking about that in the short break. It just feels like these two teams are two rams colliding on a mountain, you know, just trying to end up ahead by clashing into each other, and it's not a clean series as a result. But I feel like in this third game, one team is going to rise to the challenge. If that's SPT, perhaps they come out and come back here. And I don't want to say for certain that Tempest just wins this, because it's been so sloppy, it's been all over the place. Anything could happen, and in both games Tempest just won. It felt the same way.
Well, let's see if this Sloppy Joe becomes a turkey club. One of my favorite sandwiches is so clean looking and pretty. We have Zeratul on the far right here in the red being picked up for SPT. And this is a good change of draft for me, just because Misaka had a legendary Zeratul play yesterday, but also because Lockdown has been performing quite well on the Zeratul on the other side.
Zeratul is really cool on this map because of his ability to deny altar channels, and when you make the tough choice on the 3 spawn, that's when Zeratul's most powerful, it feels like, because you never really know which one he's going to potentially try to channel or which one he's going to potentially try to deny. The lack of vision on him is so terrifying, and that's why I like him as a pick here as well, not to mention the Misaka play you mentioned from yesterday. In Korea, when you see a Zeratul picked this highly, oftentimes we're seeing a lot of Varian play, but Varian has dropped off of this tournament with his nerfs, so we are just not seeing him. So Tempest is going to find another way. Dahaka is going to get picked up, and Muradin thought they'd maybe bring the Malfurion in here. Well, they're just going to go with the global and the tank control.
Yeah, I was wondering if we would actually see Dahaka Falset or Dahaka Malfurion. Those were my 2 choices for the draft that SPT has set up. Now, Malfurion and ETC will go over to SPT. Obviously, those warriors, again, just levitating up in the Eastern Clash so far as priority. Now, Falset still float around. Now, you can take the man out, but interesting how Tempest has handled the situation. It feels like they potentially think that the Muradin play from Kite was a bit better than maybe the ETC play, so they'll take away the Muradin. It's a hero that Sign does very well on, and now SPT is forced to go down the route of ETC.
You see the Zarya ban here, which is interesting. It means they're probably not going to be looking towards the Vol themselves. That's the one thing we're missing on both sides of this draft is range damage. So it's tough to ban that specifically here, because if you do, then there's, you know, especially for SPT right now, then Tempest takes one, and then you're even smaller in terms of what heroes you have left. We could see a Grey Material still for Tempest. They're not, well, I say that, but they already have the Dahaka. They're not shy of running something like this with the Dahaka, Muradin, and Tyrael. We've seen it before. Chromie ban here. That's an interesting ban for sure. We've seen it before on this map to deny the altars, but definitely didn't expect that. It's one range damage down, I suppose you could technically say. It's less likable to the Greymane. It's still possible. We're looking at Vala here and Li Ming especially, though, for Tempest.
It could be
There's a Li Ming.
There it is, Li Ming. Karazim. We have our Karazim being brought back. Haven't seen him for a little bit by our Korean team. It's good to see him in the mix-up, as he's obviously a staple in the HGC League. The Chromie ban makes a bit sense. Whenever you ban out Zarya, there is a huge indicator that potentially Chromie is what you want to go for, especially here on a map like Towers of Doom. But I think Tempest's plan with that Zarya was just to make sure that Zarya Vala was not available, which puts suddenly SBT in a weird spot. You want to have some kind of shielding potential to allow Vala to be in her aggressive nature, because that's where she excels. Suddenly you have this weird spot. Do you go for Tyrael Greymane here? Maybe Tyrael Vala? And that's kind of an odd draft for SBT.
Yeah, or, I mean, Tyrael Greymane is absolutely doable, and I feel like it suits the draft of SBT better. It's not something they've been running like Tempest has. It's kind of a go-to for Tempest.
And you think about the Greymane on BOE, was it the most impressive Greymane
No,
move
it certainly
you've seen?
wasn't. I'm worried about this. I mean, they could go into Vala Greymane once more, just like they did before. It's going to be Zagara. I was going to say the Zagara is possible, and we saw Zero actually run circles around Tempest with Zagara. We're going to see the SBT here try to do just the same.
I'm scared for SPT. Now, obviously, we've seen Zagara all weekend, and we've been made slightly into believers. Like, I believe it more than I did on Friday, but I'm still in a spot where, okay, it's Saturday, and I don't know about this. Because when you look at Muradin and Karazim, that yells to me Korean dive, which has always been splendid in terms of getting the back line and taking out an important member. And Vala's only protection here is Malfurion, and while Roots can be a powerful tool, if it's used ever, there is a spot here where we'll see Tempest dive in heavily and get to that back line and potentially take out Vala, because saving tools are pretty non-existent, except for maybe a Void Prison.
Yeah, you know, I almost wonder if we just see a Maw Void Prison here, you know? Old school.
Yeah.
And you have Reign of Vengeance as well. You have this crazy wombo combo. The problem with this that I'm scared about is it just feels insanely desperate. As we see Nazeebo locked in here as the final pick for Tempest. We've seen it run a lot on Dragonshire specifically. They, in fact, used Nazeebo in the win against L5 on that Dragonshire map they used. And this is a very late-game hero, scales really well, has a lot of alter channel deny potential with spiders, which we're seeing quite a lot. I mean, almost exclusively right now in terms of Nazeebo builds. So when you look at the two specialists picked up here, when I compare the Nazeebo to the Zagara, I feel like Nazeebo is the better of the two in terms of utility on this map. Zagara has her summon. She can delay altars as well. She has the split push potential, which is what we've been seeing Zagara do exclusively in this tournament. But you already have Dahaka, who can kind of mitigate a lot of that. I feel like really, I actually kind of want to see Devouring Maw the more I think about it with the heroes they have available.
Yeah, Nidus is a bit of a risk if you're not able to take a bell tower early, because if you suddenly have to Nidus on your side of the battleground, and if they take your bell towers, then you have nowhere to put your Nidus network, and then you're in a spot where you're like, well, I have a heroic that's basically dead. So Devouring Maw makes a little bit more sense, but I can see a world where you snowball with Zagara, and you just float between the top, middle, and bottom consistently, keep Merc control, and you just pressure your opponent out. Nazeebo, while I do agree with your point that he's a better specialist in terms of the regards, I think he's better suited against mage compositions, and there isn't a mage composition here. There's a kind of a forgive and throw kind of composition with Zagara throwing out stuff, Vala with her multi-shot and her hungering arrow. However, you do have always that late game potential. If we do get there, our last couple of games have kind of shown that we're not moving towards those level 20s, but that Vial Infection coming in, and if ever a spider connects with the Zagara, she drops down to a quarter health.
That's just not very tanky. She's very squishy.
She's not very tanky.
Yeah, squishy bug. Might get squished. Spires are bugs too, but they're going to win out in terms of that exchange here. Look, I could see the Maw working out really well. It could surprise Tempest. They've played against Maws in the past. I mean, back in 2015, especially early 2016, TNL was all about Void Prison Maw, and a lot of people say they actually built a career off of it. The Void Prison Maw and Li Ming, we saw it a lot. It had great success against weaker teams. I think Heroes of the Storm has evolved quite a bit since then. Teams know how to play against that better. It's uncommon. The Nidus just feels gimmicky. But, I mean, I guess when you're behind like this and you feel desperate, you just kind of try to make it work. If that's the path they're going to go on, maybe they're drafting around this. I just feel like they didn't need to because these games have been so crazy and so close. If they were just a little bit more tight with their play, they could have taken just a straight-up game. I don't think you have to go towards the Zagara pick here in order to take the win.
I do think they have another thing that we haven't quite put on here for SBT is they do have good jungle control, so they can get mercenary control, but they also have solid counter jungle control with the Zeratul being able to float in to the opposing side, set up for his team, scout out, and move from there. Now, the thing that kind of deflates that argument is, well, they have a Muradin, and Muradin is so good for just jumping in randomly to camps and stealing them away. So we'll see how those two will face off as obviously we're getting ready for this third map of the game. Do remember, this is a best-of-5 series, so there's a chance that SBT in this last match will be going home. And I guess while you and I are kind of criticizing their play a little bit, if you're going to go out swinging, maybe this is the way to do it.
Seems like that's what they've got in mind. You mentioned Misaka Zeratul. He's really going to have to shine here. A win for them here isn't even enough. They're going to have to take 2 more games after that in order to take the best of 5. It looks like we are ready to go into what is potentially our last map of this best of 5 on Towers of Doom.
Welcome to Towers of Doom. To the left, currently up 2-0 in the series. It will be the Korean representatives, Tempest, showing off their competition here. Good to see Hyde back on that Karazim. On the far right, SPT, Super Perfect Team, fighting for their tournament life.
Xin Zhao has always been great at this range flex role, and I was surprised to see why playing so much Falstad in this tournament. He's okay on Falstad. He had a weak Falstad game number 1, but Xin Zhao is just great at the split pushing, the extra pressure, the specialist role. He's played Sylvanas. He hasn't really shown it in this tournament, but he's played Sylvanas quite well in the past. This is just the kind of player that is trying to avoid fights and trying to find value elsewhere in siege damage. So I like this, choice for him. Suits his role. You got Misaka on the Zeratul, and Y is, of course, once more playing that Vala. It's a solid lineup on paper, but when you compare it to what Tempest has brought here, it feels somewhat gimmicky. And already punishing him here. Tempest is ready, and Xin Zhao will fall to be first blood.
Yeah, that rotation was actually kind of poor in my eyes. Not seeing 3 members, no, that was 4 members on the field. You take the safe route every single time until someone shows up on the battleground. It's worth missing that experience, because now there is a moment where they miss 3 to 4 minions, and that's actually happening in the middle because Tempest is going in for the full punish. SPT on the back foot starting in this early game.
Yeah, and it's worrisome that that's how we start things off here, because it means that this is likely to happen when Zagara is in the solo lane looking for that pressure later on. Y actually looking for some of that extra EXP here. Good jukes here to avoid that storm. But he actually gets caught there the last second.
Oh, that was dirty.
Oh, ouch.
Sign just sat there and dared him to make a move, to move behind the tower. He had the full support of 3 team members. Malfurion did all he could, but Vala eventually fell victim there. If SPT, maybe we could have had a little bit better play into the working some auto attacks, so Sign couldn't sit there and be so bold, but Tempest right now is just dictating this early game.
I love this zombie wall on the ZZH. Not only does it trap him there and give some free damage, but it also will deplete the cannon tower ammunition as well, so it's powerful twofold there. We're going to see this counter gank attempt here right now. Hyde will be able to dash away, but Misaka does find the Vorpal and gets a safe blink away. Nicely done. Good. So going to get that pick there, and Misaka already showing us some good Zeratul so far here.
That was an important moment for SBT just to stop this train of blood that they've had to deal with since early game. Getting that pick off before the 3 altar phase was a solid power play for them. Now they can potentially contest for the second altar, looking for a little bit of damage, and they do actually get the kill on Sign. So SBT will actually take the first lead here in terms of altar control.
Sign really moving forward, aggressively forward. He didn't take third win, so moves like this feel a little bit questionable. If you have third win, you could be aggressive like this, get out, you could be back up to full health again very quickly, and then continue to try to buy time. But with the pickoff there early on, for SBT, Basaka securing that kill. This was always going to be their altar, almost certainly. And so that was a bit aggressive. He ends up paying for it for his life. So now, not only does SBT take a core lead, they also take a slight EXP lead here as we even up the kills.
Ooh, Kite with a kind of an uncharacteristic power slide. Does move around the gazebo wall there, but Duck gets focused down. Masaka showing off that Zeratul.
Yep. The second pick so far, and I don't think it's going to be the last. It's playing pretty well so far. Jinzhao here just kind of on cleanup duty for the Sapper cap, but at the bottom, Super Perfect team is getting more done. They're going to finish off this wall, even going to damage that bell tower, and they're starting to take a slight lead here. I mean, it's very tangible. You can see them get this advantage, and it feels like they've got even more than this slight lead in structures now and EXP, a momentum lead. They are just rolling with the punches right now.
Keeping up the rotations, but the good thing about Zagara is that although she doesn't really win the trade against Dahaka, she can keep him in lane. The threat of out-pushing a Dahaka is actually very real, even with that primal aggression being there. So Dahaka has had the chance to rotate down. Normally, when you have a Dahaka on this battleground, you'll have someone on the top lane just holding on as Dahaka's pushing forward, clearing out the minion waves, and he only has that big brush stalker to head to a lane and get into a fight. And SBT has no fear of that because Zagara is keeping a match with him up in that top lane.
Yeah, and if he leaves for any reason, then she's going to really snowball that and run away with it. So it makes Brush Stalker feel less powerful. It makes it feel like he has to use it a lot more wisely, and it's it makes every decision to use it a bigger decision. So Kite actually stepping too far forward here, actually gets cleansed, but unfortunately will get caught by that zombie wall and eat a ton of spider damage. So great trade here already to start off for Tempest. Doc actually rotated mid, but all during this time, Shinzhao's getting free soak top. They can buy a lot of time. This will be worth it for SBT. They're already ahead in core health currently.
Dahaka's going to brush her in, though. It's moving on to ZZH. Kite W does get focused down. Ty on the back right, putting pressure on Duck, but he will survive with the aid of his teammates. And this is where Dahaka comes in. You cannot get too aggressive against that brush stalker position. 2 members fall because of it.
Why? Looks like he will escape. I'm a little bit surprised he's even going to go for the clear here. Looks like he does see Tempest rotate back down to this bot lane. Jinzhao got a lot of damage done to this top wall, which keeps them actually even slightly ahead in EXP. Tempest has evened things up in terms of core health. And I feel like this game really goes about dead even as a result. Brush Stalker used, he now just rotates back up top. And we're going to get to this point where we see this neutral trade, red side, blue side sappers taken equally here. Zagara actually heading back mid though. Perhaps they're going to try to take a fight here. There's no objective, but they're going to look for the pick here. Sign, steps over. Oh, nice deny.
Gets interrupted there by the knockback on Kite. They turn around, they look at Hyde. Hyde will be able to radiant dash away, but a scary moment there for Sign. 9.25 experience for our 2 teams. Zagara is in the top, scouting out Dahaka actually as he's going in for the minions, but because of these creep tumors and the control of the top lane, he sees all.
He does see all, and it was a very quick decision. As soon as they got that really nice trade on the sign, he was like, I'm just going up right away. I know exactly where Dahaka is, and he actually steals that top camp. They got this bot camp, so they actually take an insanely early bell tower advantage here. They add 10 as well.
Mosh pit has been chosen.
Yep.
Watch out for EGC on the top right. A power slide and a mosh pit could be a deadly play. Tempest is aware of it, so they play passively. And luckily for SBT, the ultra spawns down here on the bottom. They have full control. Nidus Network has been the choice here for Zagara, so now she has the choice to show up with Dahaka.
And what do you feel about it? Because I feel like it's okay in this case. It hasn't been a great lane for Zagara, but they did get some nice exchanges there at the last part, so I can say, okay, this is fine with me, but it doesn't feel like it's going to get that much value. We'll have to wait and see, but still was kind of looking towards the Maw myself. Oh boy, this is actually a great amount of damage on the ZCH.
The reset comes in, Lockdown looking for more, and he does get another one on Y. Lockdown knocking around Kite, Sign chasing in, another reset on the way, especially with the aid of 7-sided strike. Kite will be able to escape to the bell tower, but Zeratul on the back right is being looked at by Karazim. Time to give it up and have Zagara go push that top lane.
Yeah. Trying to buy a little bit more time here. Actually really well done there by Misaka. Bell tower will be taken back away. But you know, it felt like during this exchange, Zhao came in to fight and wasn't able to really do anything. Maybe he should have just stayed top after all. It's really easy for me to say that in hindsight, considering that they lost the fight. But if he had Maw and he was looking to fight there, it would have been easier, but he kind of didn't do much at all there. The brush stock was just a bonus because the fight was already won before he came in, so that just made it a stop in terms of that last fight. With the resets that are coming out from Li Ming, things snowball like crazy. And even though Jin Zhao was able to go up to the top lane and find some more pressure there, and they did take that bell tower initially, Tempest with this big win in this fight takes a massive lead in EXP, and also they got that altar.
Yeah, I think that all comes down to the fault of Nopurian, actually. ZZH just was in a very poor position. I understand the idea of where he was at. What you normally do when that ultra spawn does pop up is you try to control that top left and top right corridor where people can walk in. Nopurian Reach is great for one area, but he was just a little bit too forward, and a team like Tempest that has shown over and over again that if they can get a lockdown, they will take you out, was able to jump on top of Nopurian, so that did waste the efforts of our Zagara player. So hopefully ZZH doesn't make such a big mistake like that, because it definitely hurt his team.
You know, hold that thought. We're going to see this exchange here. Monolife trying to deny these Pumpkinmen as best as he can. You know, what's really interesting to me, okay, well, I really want to make a point here, but I was getting scared from Misaka. Sign rotated up. What's really interesting to me is we see the 7-sided strike. Hyde really popularized this in Korea, so it's not crazy to see it from him. And I feel like it's a reaction to ZZH's position, or excuse me, Kite's positioning. Misaka! Whoa! Catches that 7-sided. Oh, no! Thread in the needle! Lockdown goes right in. Gets that kill.
Oh, that feels bad, man. You drop VP, you think that you can get behind your tower, and Lockdown with the sniper-roni taking out Zagara. Alter under contention in the top right, but SBT may just have to give this one up.
They certainly will. Okay, Sign gets power slid into here as an Almash he commits to, but here comes a huge Avatar. He survives, doesn't even need the Avatar. Wave of Force coming in here. Hyde is looking for this. He doesn't have 7-sided, unfortunately, here. This is a huge win already for Tempest getting that first pick. Jin Zhao here caught as well. Will he be able to escape? He's trying for it, but he doesn't get it. The Calamity secures the kill.
Lockdown is just going off right now. Now, yeah, is that a mana? He's trying to get some here, maybe setting up for another reset, looking for the damage. Hyde going in for the aggressive play. The altar finally being channeled here by Duck, but 32-21 in terms of score, and Tempest is starting to walk away with this game. And this is where Nidus Network starts to hurt. When you start losing infrastructure on your side of the map, you have nowhere to put your Nidus Networks, which means you don't have any route to actually escape or maneuver to manipulate the flow of battle.
And you've already sacrificed team fighting as a result, so... Yeah. You know, Zarya becomes, it just becomes this lose-lose hero in this case. Duck actually used his Ice Block earlier. I think it's still on cooldown. He won't be able to escape here. Does get taken out here, but wow, the Rush Stock comes in. They're going to make this a trade onto Kite. Didn't even have to use 7-sided there. What I was trying to say earlier is these two bloodthirsty teams go at it. I feel like because Kite has been so aggressively positioned, that's why he decided to go into the 7-sided. And they're not worried about saving him with really Jin Zhao not being a team fight player. So I like this choice.
Yeah, especially when it gets a solo tank warrior and with EGC. If you get 2 to 3 hits on EGC, he has to retreat away. Whether it's a power slide that he's not using on your team or a power slide that isn't available, it's a win-win scenario, especially with that low cooldown. So I don't mind it at all here for the Karen team. Misaka going in for the aggressive play, but that's emergence. Going to be kind of hard to get that kill.
Oh,
okay.
He has Avatar too, so I think Misaka is really playing with fire here. Will be able to get out.
I think SPT needs to get this fort. They need to take it as soon as they can here. That's where they open up the map. Put pressure on the bottom, so Tempest has to bring some resources there to deal with it, whether it's at Dahaka or even more members. Tempest is aware of this play, though, and they move in for the aggressive counter-attack. Karazim is floating down with the aid of Lockdown on Li Ming, but ETC is following him. Misaka goes in for some aggressive harass.
was really scary. Had that Stormbolt connected, it probably would have been a Stormbolt into a tongue from Dahaka, which might have been the pick on the Y. So SPT with a solid retreat there. You know, they were doing just as you said. They weren't able to get the fort, but they did survive with everyone. They're down a talent tier here for this Alter. Duck's channel does get denied by that Moonfire. As they move in once more aggressively, Alters at the top traded. Shinzao's actually going to go top, so SPT shouldn't overextend here. They're going to fight down once Hyde comes over. He's coming over now. Sign looking for the stun here onto Kite, and here comes that 7-side potential. In fact, not even going to need it. There's the reset. TY going to be the next to go down, and oh boy, Sign's not even done yet. He's going to try to stop the retreat of ZZH. Body blocking here.
Lockdown's looking for it. Should be able to connect. Ooh, the reset goes out. The ice block just in time. Hyde will be using the 7-side strike, but there won't be a takedown. I feel kind of bad for you, Wolf. You called out Kite, the MVP, the last couple plays as Warriors, and now he's just getting caught out left and right.
Yeah, he certainly is, and the 7-side strike really helping to mitigate that. In the last exchange, didn't need it at all. This is going to be a 1 bell tower here for Tempest, but of course they lose the top one as Xinjiao was up there pressuring and actually has a ton of pushing sappers right now, so they're going to force a rotation up. The tunnel being open now, not too big of a deal for SPTs. They already have Nidus, but they're needing to control these lanes, as you mentioned, in order for that to gain value. And this bell tower allows, you know, a great Nidus at the top, but now it's useless, so it'll probably be cleared since it's right up there at that camp. This is some extra pressure potential here for SPT while they clear that bell tower. Unfortunately, not really able to find anything from it. They're just clearing lanes, trying to catch up in EXP.
Tempest played that defense well. They had the bell tower on the top left that was killed off by Sagara. So they set 3 to the top to defend it. But before they actually showed themselves in the top left, they started the mercenaries in the bottom left, which allowed for them to take both the mercenaries and defend their bell tower, because SPT was getting ready for a layered aggressive play for when Tempest showed themselves in the top left to take away the mercenaries to get a bell tower. And they completely took that option away.
Certainly did. Kite super aggressively positioned here once more. Had he been caught, Hyde would have been able to drop that 7-sided. You know, I like the positioning he was showing earlier in the series, but now with the 7-sided and also Muradin to stun him, it's very risky to do this. They're going to try to escort these sappers here. They get the bell tower. Misaka takes a little bit of damage there. Will be healed up now.
Dahaka has brush tucked. He's behind. He's looking for the tongue. Can he land the tongue? Can be difficult to hit in a moment like this. Wise on the right side. The ice block comes out. Big Twilight Dream connecting on Muradin as well as Dahaka. Adaptation, though, will heal Modern Light to full health. And SPT just starts to fall like dominoes.
7-side strike used there. They certainly secured that kill. The burrow and adaptation going off just in time for Modern Life there to survive. And now with 3 dead, potentially 4, I don't think Misaka's going to find his way out of this one. Sign's ready. Down goes Zeratul. This is level 20, and SPT is now down to 10 core health. This is going to be a cleared bell tower. Xinjiao is still on the top. He's still going to be able to get that sapper cap, but this just feels like a consolation prize at this point for SPT. This shouldn't accomplish all too much simply because he's all alone. This feels like the beginning of the end. SPT has some time to try to get 20. These sappers are certainly going to help. But Trick, I mean, what do they do here? I feel like that fight was a fight they needed to win. It's so hard for them to win fights right now. The positioning of Kite has been a liability rather than an asset. And Xinjiao just makes every team fight they want to take hard kind of a 4v5 for them. As he's playing Zagara.
Yeah, the only thing you do here now is you drop a creep tumor near that boss, and then you just focus on map control, you focus on getting to level 20, and then you hope that you can start winning team fights. Which at level 20, you should get to spots where you can make it work. I would grab Death Metal on EGC here. He's been so aggressive and being focused down all the time anyways. You might as well go for that Hail Mary play. Get Zagara in the fight about the Hydras. They actually know that their opponent is here, but can SPT even make a play? Zagara has dropped into her Nidus network. No, they're not even making a play over here, which means they're going to go down to 1, which is okay. I guess if you were to actually lose out on that fight, Tempest could grab Mercenary Camps and end the game, but SPT now 1 shot away from being knocked out of the tournament.
They played the patient play, and they're going to survive here technically. The scariest thing about this is when the triple altar spawn comes up with Dahaka being global, you have to somehow, some way deny all 3 altars, and that's the most terrifying thing. And you know, may not be the next spawn, but Tempest with 28 core health left, they should be able to last to a place where we're going to have that triple altar spawn. And that's really, really terrifying here for SPT. They're going to have to play super aggressive, as we see here. Oh, Kite goes Bolt, goes to the power slide, but misses it, though. And now he's caught out of position. Good route here to help him escape. And here comes the double Ultra Spawn. They will have to secure both, or they are out of this tournament, Trixler.
Fights back and forth. Ty working in the damages. Why here? Big mosh pit just on Murden. Can they focus him down? They do. They get it. But ETC taken out as well. Lockdown does get a reset. He grabs another one. He's looking for another third reset here. Here's Basaka jumping in. Drops the Void Prison. Malfurion low on health. SPT may have just doomed themselves.
Looks like Misaka falls. Hyde survives here. He actually dies at the last second, but it doesn't look like it's a matter. Dahaka is channeling that altar. GG is called as the wipe completes here. Tempest will take their first clean dominant game of the series, the third win in a row to secure their victory in this best of 5. Finally, they got that good clean when you expected to see from them going into this series in the final one. I feel part of that goes into the draft we saw from Super Perfect Team there. It definitely didn't allow for success when they decided to pick the Nias. It looked, I feel like, at best mediocre at the beginning. I was like, okay, well, they're not doing terribly there with Zagara. Jinzhao is actually finding some value here. Maybe this can work. But the longer the game went on, Dahaka's brush stock allowed him to just kind of, as you said, mitigate that pressure and then eventually win team fights. Jinzhao could never be in the team fights, never set up Nidasus to do so because you just really simply can't. And I stand by, I feel like with this composition, I would have liked to see Ma instead. And they just decided to go for that split push Zagara. We've seen all tournament long. No success, though. Maul
could have been better for the team fights. They had a moment where it could have worked out. When they got the bell tower in the bottom left, you literally set up camp there. You anchor up, you control the mercenary camps, and you let Zagara do her thing. You let Jinzhao do whatever he wants, right? You believe in his gameplay, and you keep pressure up to the point where Tempest has to stay down there. But they got the bell tower, got a fight, grabbed an altar, and then kind of just spread out once again. And at that point, once you lose any map control, it hurts way too much. And like Wolf said, if you're not going to control the battleground, just go for Devouring Maw or don't even go Zagara at that point. It was a game plan that just fell flat. Now, on the other side, congratulations to Tempest. They are able to walk away with a 3-0. That entire match right there in game number 3 on Towers of Doom looked a little bit more cleaner than the last prior matches, which is good to see. But again, a tough road still ahead of them.
I like to see Hyde on that 7-sided Kharazim again. That was fun. It almost felt like a little bit of fan service there. It worked out really well with Kite's super aggressive positioning. Cyan really tightened up his play there on the Murden, I feel, on that last map. So
yeah, he did.
Slightly contributes to that clean third play, or third game, I should say. Lockdown's incredible, threading the needle up at that top bell tower, and just massive, massive damage once he hits 16 there as well with the extra missiles. Grants him MVP, 0 deaths here, as well as a ton of hero damage and even siege damage. Look, this is the kind of series you tell your friends, you know, someone asks you, how did that series go? And you say 3-0, but it wasn't really a one-sided 3-0. Tempest did not have a massive, massive landslide victory here. They did in game 3, but in the first 2, it was certainly a little bit messier.
Give Lockdown more Li Ming. That's what I'm going to say. If I was the coach at Tempest, I'd walk in and be like, you know what? Your Li Ming play is still pretty on par, and it allows Hyde to be aggressive, which it seems like when Hyde is able to get into his element and just be Hyde, they get their kills and they get that Li Ming the reset. So I would love to see that more often going forward. Obviously, MVP Black and L5 are aware that that is a strong counterplay that they will have to deal with. But again, if you get the chance, grab that hero, because Lockdown really did perform today.
That he did, not to mention his Zeratul as well. Really putting the extra pressure onto Hyde to heal him as Malfurion in that second game. But yeah, he looked good. I'd say focus on that in the draft as well. And I feel like, you know, now that they've played this match, they have some time to sort of cool down, relax here. I feel like, you know, we got Rally Jaffa in the booth there with them, kind of their manager. Just kind of get set up for a cleaner series going, well, you know, there's probably a lot of frustration in the booth right now. Like,
definitely.
That should have been a clean 3-0 for us. It was a lot tougher than we expected, but we're not out of this tournament yet. When we won the 3-0, let's be happy about this, and let's get our team synergy back going to our next series.
Yes, and our next series is coming very soon, so let's go ahead and head to a quick commercial break. We'll be back with more Eastern Clash action.
Gadget Sand, the city of opportunity.
Gadget Sand, where the gangs rule the streets. Gadget Sand, full of swindlers and cheats. Zip and sing, a ring-a-ding-ding on the mean streets of Gadget Sand.